There we go. Hello, everyone. How are you? 𝗧cie𝗱𝘆 here, intuitive life coach and mindset expert for high-performing female entrepreneurs and all the amazing men and women in this group. I have another amazing Wisdom Drop Wednesday for you guys with my dear friend and amazing positive mindset coach, Keri Faith. So excited to introduce you guys to her today. We've had many conversations together, and I'm like, who are you? What do you do? I need to learn all of the details because you are fantastic. And most importantly, I need to have you share your genius with my group. So if you guys are on here today, please say hello. Tell me where you're from. How is your day going? We want to know if you guys are on this live today. And a little bit about our friend Keri Faith. She's a positive mindset coach. She works with first year and first time and aspiring entrepreneurs to identify core strengths and virtues, letting go of self-doubt and stepping into unwavering self-belief with courage and certainty. Doesn't that just feel so good? With courage and certainty. I'm going to write that down. I move forward with faith, with Keri Faith, with courage and certainty. Her background is rooted in psychology and human behavior with an emphasis in positive psychology and human strength. She teaches emotional awareness and intelligence aligned with hope, faith, and optimism. Keri, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much. I am so excited. And now more than ever, the courage and certainty is what we all need, right? And so I know that I have to work and stretch that every day. And I'm looking forward to sharing how we can better exercise our courage and create more inner certainty for ourselves and those we serve, right?
Absolutely. And I'll say, like, even for myself, like, I have tools in my toolbox that I can use. And whenever I'm feeling an emotion, say hello, work the energy, and then release. But it has been this endurance where I'm like, I have to go back to my tools every single day because this isn't just a 2-week, a 3-week, a month. Like, some schools are being shut down for an entire year. Like, it's the long endurance. And so I know it's for my tools, like, I'm even open to learning more. So again, Keri, thank you we're going to teach an awesome class and learn about her ABCs of positive mindset and the 5 pillars of positivity. So you guys bring your pen and paper. Be ready. We're going to drop some amazing content for you guys. So that way you have additional tools to support you during this marathon of history that we're witnessing, which is really exciting, but also a lot.
Yes, it is a marathon. And I believe life is a marathon, right? A lot of people are saying, well, when this is over, or, life isn't over till it's over. It's something that we just have to work at every single day. And I'll just share a little bit about my mission because I'm really passionate about it. My mission is to make mindset the new fit, happy, and healthy. And people don't realize that our mind health is just as imperative as our physical health. So like you said, it's a marathon. It's just like you can't go to the gym one day or twice a week and be able to run the marathon. You have to practice every single day. And that is really what mindset is about. So I think that's why we're connected, not only spiritually, but intellectually, that we see the importance of mindset.
Awesome. I love that analogy too. Funny story, because I think a lot of you guys know in here, just a quick little bit, I actually ran a half marathon without training and my heart stopped and I was in the hospital for 3 days. They had to resuscitate me. Yep. So I did. Yeah. True story. Yep. So funny that you're mentioning that. I'm like, you're right. You don't just run a marathon without training. I did like 2 runs and that was it. And then got stressed out and didn't take care of it. And then guess what happened in the long run, you guys? So if we're in this marathon together, we're going to train, we're going to have the tools, and we're at home. So we might as well take this time to go inward and to use them.
Well, I just want to applaud you for being, for running that half marathon, but it's just sort of like life. Like, we can live a happy life, but we can even be happier and have it become less of a resistance and effort when we can do the training, right?
Yes.
So,
ooh, well said.
I love that story about the half marathon because that is a perfect analogy of it. It's life can be
is.
easier. It can be hard. The half marathon can be easier if you put in the work leading up to it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. I love it so much. So let's get to make it easier. I'm curious, what are the ABCs of positivity? Way to keep it simple.
The ABCs. So this is something that I played off of the theory that was created by Rick Snyder, and it's titled the Hope Theory. So I took a spin on it. So it's not 100%. It's based on research, back knowledge, and a theory that was established in the 1950s. And then later, Martin Seligman, who is one of the pioneers and leaders in positive psychology, implemented a play off of the Hope Theory in his own institutes on positive psychology. So I have created the ABCs of positive mindset and expanded it a little bit. The A is the adversity, and adversity it's a generic term. It can be anything and everything. It's basically an event like maybe we've experienced in our lives. It can even be as simple as a bad feeling or a bad emotion or a conflict with, a friend or a spouse. So the adversity doesn't have to be big. It can be very small. Whatever is not making you feel 100% is the A, adversity. The B is the belief around that adversity, event, situation, feeling, or thought. And then the C is the consequence, also known as a result or outcome. And it's really as simple as that. And then I expand it so we can take it a little bit farther. But I know that you work with people's beliefs and shifting beliefs, and that's really where the magic happens, right? That's when we can have 100% control of our outcome and our feelings and the result that we're producing. So my brand, Keri Faith, is really about not always being positive 100% of the time, because people think positivity is about feeling happy all the time and feeling wonderful, and that's not realistic. But what is realistic is that we can produce a positive outcome out of any and every situation. And that's how I term it.
Love that. It's so true. And you're right. As far as like positivity, people have asked, like, actually, how are you so positive all the time? And it's like, I'm not. Like, that's not a realistic thing to believe, because you have to have those tools to be able to, I always use the term of like, work your energy, whatever shows up, the adversity, if you will, the emotions that show up. And it's when we become skilled at resolving that and then choosing to release, bless, and forgive. When we're skilled in that, then you can regain and reclaim your energy and be in that really positive space. So I love that. And it is the belief. That's what it is. Like, it's
all about the beliefs. And when you can be aware that it's a belief that is perhaps holding you back or not producing the energy or the result that you like, is when you can have that and be empowered to change it. My father, a few days ago, had brought up that he had an invitation to a mindfulness webinar or something, and he thought that I could join it. And he said, a lot of people have a misconception about mindfulness and mindset. So I know that most people listening here are very well versed in this mindset and mindfulness. But I do feel like there is a slight difference between mindfulness and mindset. And mindfulness is being aware of those beliefs. And I like to have the analogy of like, the mindset is the cake. It's the gift, that it's the intention. But mindfulness is like the ingredients that you gather to create and bake the cake, where you can receive the reward. So I know that being emotionally aware is part of that mindfulness. And so being aware of our beliefs and being aware of our energy, like how you work with people, is the first step. Just like gathering the eggs and the oil and the water to produce the cake that you have to bake, right? And so the beliefs are very layered. And I feel like every time we remove that layer, we get upon a new one. And to help with the beliefs and how you can shift your beliefs, I do apply an equation to that. And it's based on Jack Canfield's E plus R equals O. So if you're familiar with if you're not familiar with Jack Canfield, the E plus R equals O is the event plus the response equals the outcome. But I've played on that, and I changed the R to resourcefulness. So it's the event plus your resourcefulness that is going to produce the outcome. And if you apply that to your beliefs, it can help shift and work through those beliefs on your own, I feel like.
Oh, beautiful. Right. It's not a lot. So this is something whenever I notice myself feeling, oh, I feel stuck, I don't know what to do. This is a lot of old programming that I would say this a lot. Like, no matter what I do, I feel like I'm stuck. I would say, like, I would feel like hopeless and kind of damsel in distress energy around that. And I would say, like, I don't have, or someone told me, they're like, it's not a lack of resources, it's a lack of resourcefulness. And I was like, ooh, you're right. Am I being resourceful with what I truly have and what I already have access to? So I love that, because response is important, resources are important, but like the ground zero, the most important is your resourcefulness. Are you using what you currently have in all of the areas?
Right. I think now is the best time ever to learn how to be even more resourceful, because we are not advised to go to the store all the time, right? We're not advised to just do anything and everything that we want. And especially with our businesses, how can we be more resourceful to rely and help other people, or to create new programs or new avenues to the final destination? It doesn't mean that we have to necessarily change our goal. It's just the approach that you're going to create the outcome. So to move on from the ABCs, if I want to dive into that a little bit more. So if you're not producing the result, the consequence or result or the outcome in your life, I like to move on to the D, which is, let's say you have a feeling as your consequence, like a bad feeling, right? Like you've said, maybe helplessness, or you're stuck. So the D is actually disengaging or detaching. I wasn't quite sure what word I was using. Detach or disengaging from that feeling of being stuck, because it's only temporary, right? So even think of it as like a gift. Put that feeling of stuck, or put that word stuck in a little box, wrap it up, and then put it aside you, and move on to the E. The ABCDE is evaluate that feeling of being stuck, right? It could be a gift, because it could allow you to be more resourceful. It could be an opportunity to reach out to someone that you haven't in a long time. It could be an opportunity to learn a new skill. There's so many different ways that we can evaluate that feeling of being stuck. And then I like to move on. The ABCDEF is to frame the situation, or also known as reframing. I feel like this is where the gift is to really shift those beliefs. And the best way that I reframe situations is through gratitude. Gratitude is such a cliche, but there's so many different layers and ways to practice gratitude. And I think moving forward as we evolve as humans, and gratitude is such a high vibrational state, probably the second one besides love. I studied gratitude, and I actually wrote my senior capstone project on gratitude, and it is a whole area of study, gratitude. There are research programs all around gratitude, but to frame the situation with gratitude is really where you're going to produce the best feeling, result, and outcome out of your adversity.
So good.
Gratitude University, I feel like.
Yeah.
All the thought leaders are talking about gratitude, but when I researched like hundreds and hundreds of peer-reviewed articles about gratitude, and there's a researcher, his name is Robert Emmons, and he is out of the University of California in Berkeley, and I welcome and invite people to do some more research about him and his program at UC Berkeley, because the more we can be resourceful with the different types of gratitude too is really when we're going to thrive and be the best versions of ourselves through the evolving and changing times.
I love that so much. And I have, this would be a good one to kind of like work through the ABCs. Maybe we'll see how it lands. But what I was thinking of as you were sharing this beautiful example, it's so easy to remember too, is what I was struggling with was how can I maintain everything that I do in a day, but now having the mental clutter and a little bit of the chaos of like having my daughter home and having my husband home, and they aren't chaos or clutter in my life. They're my greatest gifts. But with that being said, I'm used to working alone in my home office. I'm used to like having a little bit of time to go to the bathroom by myself without like little fingers through the door. Like I'm used to having this self-care time. And so, and I have for years, with my daughter going to preschool or my husband going to work, like when he takes a shower to go to work, that's my alarm clock to get up. And just with everything blending together, it has been such a wave of getting used to. And I was like feeling jealous of these other moms. And it's so weird for like the jealousy to brew up, because I don't usually struggle with that. Like I worked through a lot of it. It's just another opportunity for us to upgrade mentally. But a lot of my mom friends who are amazing, and they're like stay-at-home moms, and they have all these homeschooling projects. And today we're going over the letter K, and we have an art project and a science project and everything. I was getting so mad. And I was like, I don't have the luxury to be able to have the mental capacity to like come up with all these projects and do this and that. Like I run a business and I have this and that and a bunch of other things that I'm building out. And I just got in this like really negative mindset around it. And I had to go through these steps of like, okay, this is a belief. And the belief was, well, I immediately shifted it of like, I get to have it all. The original belief was that I couldn't. So that it's either I understand this from my programming too. I've always loved Sandra Bullock, pencil skirts, corporate woman, CEO. Like that has always been my inspiration. So it's like, oh, you're going to be the woman who is the corporate CEO, but you can't always be present. And I created that balance prior to everything happening because it just worked. And now everyone's home. And it was like, I can't have both. And then I shifted the belief and reframed it, right? And being mindful in that moment. I love it, and realize like that is a belief. It doesn't have to be true for me. Put it in the box and I get to have it all. And my schedule might look a little bit different, but I get to have it all. And I really had to work through that and journal through it to give myself permission to accept that new belief and reframing it and then being grateful. That was the last I love how you went through that flow chart or like the ABCs of it, because gratitude was the last one that I needed to do, is be really grateful for the opportunity that I do have. And like, we do have a job and blah, blah, blah. So well done, my friend. Hopefully someone will resonate with that example, because that was a huge one for me that unlocked so many. I felt like I was in handcuffs, but it's our own mindset. It's invisible, you guys. Just go through the ABCs.
We say, well, just be grateful, right? But sometimes we can't just get from mile 1 to mile 13 like you running a half marathon. Like we have to go through those stages and like work through the energy to create the better energy at the end. So you can have adversity and just kind of shift it, but it's more struggle, I feel like. When you can break it down, it's way easier. When you can just run 1 mile at a time, it's a lot easier than just run 13 miles. So I hope that someone finds this useful. I don't know if you want me to go over it again, or if people want to contact me and we can go over it. And that's really, I help clients with this as well. is the ABCs. And it really is quite simple. And you can do it in a matter of a minute, 5 minutes. You can journal about it. You can just write it, and write it down and just mentally go through that checklist. So I hope that it is helpful.
Yeah, what I would say, and I would think would be really, really helpful, is if you guys have your pen and paper ready, like think about what are some blocks that are showing up for you, or some limiting beliefs that keep repeating in your head with all of the shifts or the changes we've experienced, or maybe it's something that's been holding you back for a long time. Write that down at the top of your paper. And then, yeah, Keri, if you'd like to go through just a quick recap of what they are again, and then you have this and you can post it. You can post it on a sticky note and put it by your mirror. So when you're feeling something bubble up, you're like, what are my ABCs to shift this mindset and to shift this into positivity? So I love that.
Yeah. Right. And I know that a lot of myself personally, I'm catching myself going to bad habits, perhaps, or kind of just defaulting on a certain few things. Like one is probably the eating. The first 2 weeks, I was just, going for dessert and chocolate and even things that don't seem that harmful. But it was old habit patterns for me to be in that survival mode, which we are all working through, that survival and the grief and adjusting to a new normal. So even if you don't have something that's like shooting out of you, like I have a big problem, if it could be even really something small, like eating too much chocolate at night. So the A is the adversity, like the emotional eating, perhaps. I'll just, the B is the belief. Right. And then the C is the consequence. And the C consequence can also be, I know consequence sounds a little daunting. It can be an outcome, a result, a feeling, energy. That is your consequence. And if you feel great, you don't have to really go beyond that because you've mastered the ABCs. But if you're not producing the result that you desire and you deserve, move on to the D, and you disengage or disengage. And let's say it is, like you said, feeling stuck. Put it in a box, wrap it up with a bow, and kind of set it aside next to you. And you're going to evaluate the box, evaluate the feeling stuck. And then that's the D. The E is the evaluate. The F is the frame, or also known as reframing. That's where we can go back to the beliefs and reframe the B belief so we can create the C consequence, outcome, result that you desire. And the reframing comes with gratitude. Looking at the moment, like you said, we're stuck at home, but really we have the opportunity to create your legacy, right? You have the opportunity to work on a deeper level of relationships with your family and maybe even a deeper relationship with yourself.
Yeah, and I think about this all the time. What if you woke up tomorrow with only what you were grateful for yesterday? Right? Like, how often are we really being grateful for what we have? How often are we being grateful for the things that we can't live without? Like it's a joke now, but like toilet paper. I've always used that as an example, and it really blew up. Like toilet paper, or like a warm home, or even a family. I had somebody say, it's like, at least we're not bored. I'm never bored. Oh my gosh, there's so much to do.
The internet. I mean, imagine I was a kid. I mean, I'm going to date myself, but in the 80s and 90s. So I think back, if this happened 30 years ago, imagine how different our lives would be, right? If we weren't able to stream here and connect and FaceTime our family and Zoom, our colleagues and our friends. imagine that. I mean, just us being here it gives me chills, because I grew up in an era without a cell phone, without the internet, where I was connected to the wall with a telephone. So I think that perhaps I might be even have a deeper level of gratitude for the internet.
Wow, that is a great point to bring up. Like, could you remember pagers, and like when we had to record with the little cassette tape when the song came on the radio, and I was like, ooh, I love this song. I'd like record it so I could listen to it later. And now where we are.
There's so much. We have music at the touch of our fingertips so that we can change our, vibrational state with tunes. I mean, there's just so freaking much to be grateful for. It really can be overlooked and a cliche, but it is one of the most healing tools that you can do without physically, without a physical state. When you're stuck in a chair in your home, you're not actually stuck. It's the greatest gift of all.
It is, truly. And if you guys are realizing, because I've had experiences before where I'm like, this is the current situation, I don't even know how to find gratitude around it. If you're struggling with that, and maybe you're feeling in that space, because some people they're feeling in a really dark hole right now, without a job, with uncertainty, etc. I invite you to comment in the box below, tag both of us if you would like, about like, hey, I'm struggling finding gratitude around this certain situation. And we will definitely be able to share some insight on that. Because I know I personally, especially many, many years ago when I was not in the best space, I was like, I can't even be positive right now. Like, I don't even have energy. And you have us as support. And yes, so know that we are here. Get into our inboxes. And then, Keri, thank you so much for sharing all of this wisdom with us today. These amazing, simple tools that we can cut and paste into any area of our life, and especially with our mindset, and encouraging us to be really mindful. What are some other exciting things that you're working on in your life and your business?
So I have been working for a while on a book that I set out actually in 2019, and my goal for 2019 was to write a book. And I'm talking about that because it's 2020 and we're in the second quarter of 2020. But it has to do with what the book is about, actually. It's called Pillars to Positivity, the Art of Transforming Self-Doubt into Self-Belief. And throughout my own experience of suffering years and years, and even decades of anxiety and depression, the biggest shift I had in my life was, one, getting a really strong why in my life, which was motherhood. And the second one was setting goals for myself and going after and achieving them. And so the book was something I've always wanted to write a book. I'm going to be launching the book this weekend, but the pillars to positivity, which I have identified, and the first two have to do with the story of the book. I got to the end of 2019 and I had a rough draft, but it wasn't complete. And I could have stopped there. I could have just thrown in the towel and beat myself up about it, right? But instead, I realized it doesn't matter so much about the time frame. It matters if I follow through with it. So that's where we stack that belief in ourselves, right? And the first pillar, I've identified 5 pillars that really transform me, which is persistence, which I had to do with this book, perseverance, which I had to do towards the end of 2019. Persevere. And I think now more than ever, we're all in a time where we must practice and implement perseverance every single day, because life is challenging. The third pillar is making progress. And that's going to create that momentum. We must make progress, even if we can't stay in our pajamas all day. Taking the baby steps of getting out of the pajamas and doing even one thing that's going to help you move towards a goal or something that's going to create energy in your life. The fourth pillar is perspective thinking. And I think we kind of went over that with the ABCs, right? identifying beliefs that are holding you back, perspective to think about the situation with reframing, utilizing gratitude. And the fifth pillar is patience. And I think you brought this up too, is that we must really be patient with ourselves now more than ever, because we're feeling all the feels. I mean, even throughout the day, I go through waves of not feeling great, and be patient, identify it, and just honor it and accept it, right? And we might not get everything done that we set out for the day or the year or the decade even, but be patient with yourself, because in this life of instant gratification, the marathon isn't always run in the first mile. And we're only in the first mile right now. So I love that you bring up the marathon in the beginning of this live stream. And if you haven't watched from the beginning, go back to the beginning, because that's when we talked about your experience with the marathon. And marathons really did change my life too. They taught me how to implement the 5 pillars, especially with persisting and perseverance.
So good. I love that so much. If people want the book, how can we support you in the book launch?
I will leave a link if you'd like in the chat box. I can leave a link, and it is the introduction to the Pillars to Positivity, and then you will be notified when it's launched in the coming days. And this was coincidence, because we had set out to talk. We set this date like 4 weeks ago, and then wow, hasn't so many things changed in 4 weeks? But just know that wherever we are exactly where we're supposed to be, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad that we are in this together. We're going to get through this together, and that we can all share our genius and participate equally. And as we endure, as we run this marathon together. So thank you for everything that you've shared. Again, that link will definitely be below. I'll likely post it above as well. So that way you guys have access, and you guys can learn the basics, as well as when the book launches and get all of those details. All of us, this is a great time for us to be in a learning space while we're indoors and reading books. Is it going to be on Kindle too?
It is, yes. It's only going to be an ebook right now.
Cool.
So
cool.
Easy to get, one touch of a button. It is a shorter read, so it's not something that you're going to start and then not want to finish because it's 300 pages. I think we need to do short things consistently so that we can exercise our minds every single day, because it is just as important as getting up, moving our bodies every single day, is challenging our minds to grow and evolve and heal.
I love that. Small baby steps. This gave me an idea too. I love that. Wonderful. Is there any last words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our audience today?
Yes. Always, always, always carry faith that you can and will produce a positive outcome out of any and every situation.
Oof, love that so much. Again, thank you so much, Keri, for being here with us today. Thank you, everyone who was on this live stream or watching the replay. If you are watching the replay, give us a #replay. We want to say hello and know who you are. And as always, wishing you an amazing day full of all the amazing things. And we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Yeah.